Good morning. And wow, here we are already looking at week 3, which is crazy because it zips by. I'm doing everything I can to keep things sort of steady and consistent, and I'll continue to do that for you throughout, hopefully. As we move through the semester, if you haven't already noticed, well, you should see a pattern developing of when things are due. And I'll try to remain fairly consistent with that throughout. There were some questions this week about the Hot Topics thread. It looks like most of you found it, and so that's great. And I love reading some of the things that we're talking about and that you guys are responding to. Part of this is just to get you paying attention to things happening around you and recognizing that argument is in fact everywhere. And that's what we become more and more aware of as we examine our surroundings. Now, what you should also become more able to address are the strategies used in developing and presenting arguments. And so that's why we're moving into this first assignment the way that we are. We are going to look first at how we rhetorically analyze someone else's argument. So before you start thinking about your own arguments and what you have to say, I want you to think about what others are saying, how they're saying it. And that's to take some of those tools that you should start building regarding rhetorical analysis. So you look at the PAPL, okay? What's the purpose? Who's the audience? What type of presentation is it? What type of evidence are they offering? Inside that evidence, the emotional, the credibility building, and the logical appeals. How are they working together to create a strong position? And then finally, of course, the language, the tone, the presentation, the diction, the syntax, all of those pieces. How are they contributing to the reader or the audience's understanding of the argument? So taking all of that into consideration, now think about these printed works. Have given you a few articles to examine. You have chosen one of those articles and you've listed some interesting commentary, okay, some ideas, some things that stand out to you, how the introduction's working to grab the reader's attention, how the title grabs the reader and lets us believe one thing, at least in a couple of those instances. So breaking down all of those pieces helps us come to understand what the writer's attempting to do. That's what you're looking at, okay? So the first assignment, this rhetorical analysis, asks you to take the selected article, whichever of those that you have selected, and really dig in, okay? So take a look and say, what has this author done? Why has he done this? Don't just give me a summary. I want you to really pick apart the method behind the madness. In other words, what kinds of appeals are being used? Where do you see him offering a very strong logical appeal? How is the structure? How's it organized? If, for example, if you're looking at the Trump essay, what does that headline do to you? What does that do to a reader? Why do you think that was chosen as the headline? I mean, clearly there's some motivation there. And then how does that which follows back it up? So the rhetorical analysis asks you to move through some of those key points that are present in the article and in the argument. I don't care if you agree or disagree with the article. That's not your job. That's not what you're looking at. You are looking at how that writer has created and presented his or her argument. Okay, so stay objective when you look at that. At the very, very end of your analysis, if you want to say, well, this is how I feel about this subject matter, that's fine. But you may not do that until you've objectively and effectively evaluated all of the constructs in place up until that point. You want to use specific examples from the text, okay? So if you tell me that you really like the language, then show some examples of that language in the text. What is the impact of it? What does that do? your notes should have led you, the notes you took on the article should give you a strong body of material to discuss. All right, so if you really adequately, or no, not adequately, very effectively evaluated the essay as you were reading it and annotated it and actively read through, you shouldn't have any problem coming up with material to support your analysis. You'll see that I've provided a number of tips and things, and there's an assignment sheet, of course, that details what we'll be looking for in this first essay, but also some samples you can read through, not on the articles that we're reading, obviously, but on other articles. So take a look and see what you think best sticks for you, like in terms of the analysis and the order, the structure, and the overall development. I will be collecting a rough draft of this, okay? And I will review the rough draft. And I'm also going to pair you with a partner, maybe two even. I might put you in small groups so that you get some more feedback. I will give you feedback directly on the draft. Then you will revise for the final draft. So this is a process. You're not going to do it and then immediately have to revise, but we'll be working through this as you're doing some other things as well. I am, of course, always available for questions, and I appreciate those of you who are sending me emails. If things aren't working or if you're not able to access it, there's a lot of different ways to find these pockets of information on Brightspace. I'm not trying to hide them, I promise. So if you are having trouble, please let me know, and I'll make sure that I get there. You will also have another hot topic due next week. We're going to start talking a little bit about research and adding some pieces to our own voices. So right now you're analyzing someone else's. Now we'll start thinking about how you might construct your own arguments and how you become more credible, how you establish that ethos in your own writing. And so one of the questions I'm going to ask is, hey, where do you get your information, right? We're hit all the time with differing, I don't want to just say opinions, but different pieces of evidence. And never has this been maybe more apparent than in these last few years, where we hear this phrase fake news all the time. And I'm going to push you to identify credible sources when you start writing your own arguments. And so I want you to just think a little bit about that and what we accept in the news, and how we accept it. That's kind of the next step. So that'll be your next hot topic. And that's really not until later in the week. I know some of you have certain days when you can work on the class, and I want to make sure I kind of address those things. I will be posting another video after I read the drafts of your rhetorical analyses this week, just to address some of the things that come through. I don't know yet because I haven't read them. They might be brilliant and we won't even have to worry about it. But if, as I expect, there might be some, common problems, I am happy to address those collectively. I also use those resources that are available to you on Brightspace. Make sure that you review some of those videos that I've shared, and of course the Open Ed resource, the textbook. Go through, identify those things that you need. In all honesty, after reading your opening writings, I feel like we are off to a great start. So you guys are coming to me with a really good body of strength, I guess, in your writing. So I'm excited, really excited to read your work. All right, folks, have a fantastic week. It's actually the weekend for me right now, just starting, but weekend and week. And let me know if you have any questions. Bye-bye.